700 LP EUW. That's respect, for sure. But there is still a difference between that and obviously Challenger, because there's a rank above Master GM. So today what you guys are watching, this is me reviewing Erknate's games, who is a Master GM High Elo EU West Zach One Trick, and he posted something on Twitter saying that no coach could help him in the games that he has recently played. So I looked at 2.5 games and found a lot of useful stuff, I think. And regardless of the Elo you guys are in, if you're in Kadeem Elo, if you're in Gold, Plat, Master, it doesn't matter, bro. Like, you're going to learn so much just from watching this video. Yeah, just watch the whole thing. You'll climb like a tear from it. Like the video. Shouldn't really post this publicly, but I thought I'd give you guys an early Christmas present. And also shout out to Erknate for giving me permission to upload this. And also, if you guys want your VODs reviewed like this as well, just add me on Discord and we'll sort something out, eh? Don't be sure. Alright, bro, what's up? So I've been through some of these games, and the only reason I have been through them is just so this video isn't like an hour long of me kind of reacting live to them. But I think this shit is kind of simple, but it will just take time for you to apply it in game, and it will take multiple like repetitions. It's like going to the gym, right? So you know like maybe what the correct form is after watching this, and then it's actually about doing it and thinking about it, so having like a mind-muscle connection. That sounds like way deeper than it probably needed to be, but it is true. So, yeah. So first thing, like, in this game that I see is you standing down here I don't really like, just because you're leaving this whole top side to the enemy Graves to run into. So if I were you, I would definitely be standing here, and you also have to consider Graves as kind of like Kane, and Nidalee isn't probably going to start W. But yeah, just champions like Kindred might be another one, right? If she decides to start Q for whatever reason, but they can just like bypass terrain, especially Graves and Kane, probably like the two most, or the two junglers who do this a lot at level 1. So if I were you, bro, like I'd be looking to stand around here. And the other thing to consider is that maybe you win a fight level 1, so you need to look at both level 1s, and it's almost like playing Shaq in a way, because you don't really want to get interrupted on your first clear, right? So I would go into this game looking at this, thinking, right, this guy's obviously a lot stronger than me at level 1. I don't want to get cheesed by him. How do I stop that? And it's by trying to stop it directly yourself first, by being here, and you can even think of putting wards around here. If he has a sweeper, it's whatever. You probably just have to give this side of the map up, and even think of doing stuff like this, which is what I think you should do in the other Graves game, because you hard lose level 1. And even this one here, I look at this and I think, you're probably losing level 1. These two champs are just kind of bad. This guy's actually pretty good, but he has graphs, so if he had Conqueror, it would make him like better. But Ornn's kind of useless, so we have like a stronger top lane. Jungler's obviously weaker. Mid lane is weaker as well. AD carry, I'd actually prefer the Karthus here, because you have first strike Caitlyn. This isn't like tempo Caitlyn or anything like that. And you have a Rel with heal, not with Ignite. So I actually think like you lose so many like 1v1s here in terms of level 1 that you have to consider like even just giving this up if Graves is over here. If he's not, that's great. We can just path towards bot, right? Nice and easy. But you have to have this in your head, like loading into the game in champ select even. And, you know, being the Shaq player, mate, like this happens a lot to me. So I have to think, do I win level 1? And if I lose, I'm literally just going to start here every game. Now, you don't have to play like that because you don't need box setup. I need to make that decision by 50 seconds. And I need to place my box of 50 seconds, sorry. So that decision is probably made at like 35 seconds for me into a game. Now, you don't need setup or anything, right? You can just move to the camp and start there at 1:30. But yeah, hopefully all that makes sense. So you being down here, I just don't really like. There's two of you, you know, just in the same position. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah. Just run out here to Raptors every game and just, yeah. Like you can either stand in here. Maybe here's better. If Graves E's over, you can just run out. The other option is you just like stand here and ward. And I'm being serious as well. It might seem like a big waste of a ward, but you could always just ward here, run back to there, buy a sweeper, right? So you base and you just run out like this or middle of the map and stay flexible depending on whether Graves shows or not. But anyway, let's get into the next point in this game. I haven't written anything down. I'm just going off memory here, so hopefully I remember this. Okay, and yeah, I do. When you finish this camp, right? So I just want to go all the way back here. Your bot lane is already losing. Yeah, like Caitlyn has died. The Karthus still has flash according to this, right? So I really want you to pay attention to flashes and the strength of lanes. So when you're pathing towards bot here, you know that your bot is kind of already cooked, right? And the enemy bot lane is going to be in base by the time you get down here, so you can never just like skip camps and get down here and get a kill there. So you already know that your bot is cooked here, right? And you have a first strike Caitlyn. This is just weak, you know, in terms of fighting. And because they've already died, I just wouldn't trust them unless something drastically like changes here. So I'm going to have the scoreboard up here. So if I was pathing bot, I'd be like, holy shit, this side of the map is an FF. And my brain is just thinking about doing this. And that's it. I'm not thinking about doing anything else here unless something drastically changes, like Zoe dies for free. Like just runs into your bot tower and intentionally feeds. Something like that is the only thing that would change what I would actually do here. So as you finish your blue buff here, I would never be thinking of running bot even though you have prior. Never. Because you have no idea how that fight is going to potentially end. And also like Orianna in terms of early game skirmishing pre-6 is not that great. You know, you could put maybe... She's probably stronger than like Victor. Syndra's okay. But she's not LeBlanc. TF is also like kind of useful. These champions, right, just give you more than Victor and Syndra. Syndra's actually not too bad, but Orianna, Victor, there's no hard CC, and their burst isn't really quite there yet, especially Victor pre-evolution. So I'm just throwing champions at you so you kind of like, yeah, we can like categorize them and throw more champions into the mix. So I just think here, you even running down through this tri-brush is questionable, and you should just be doing this, and maybe pushing it towards mid. Just making sure that Orianna doesn't get ganked, because Ori is doing well here in terms of mid, right? Like, the enemy mid laner is kind of low, has flash, so you can probably never kill her still. But she is kind of low, and there's a chance that Graves, if Graves is up here, right? Because we don't know yet. There is a chance that Graves does something like this. Oh my god, the Orianna's pushed up, let me just force gank mid, and then you're here to counter gank it. Now, that's probably rare at this elo, but it might happen, right? So if it does happen, then it's probably like at least a free kill. But this here, with these two, I just really don't like. And you're also trying to kill this guy who has flash and this guy who still has flash. It's very hard for you as Zac to do anything against them. That's just how I see it. So I think after blue, you do this bot grab if you can, and you push it towards Orianna. You do not push it towards bot, you push it up. You do not go near your bot lane. And obviously while you're doing this, you don't want your bot lane to die, so you ping here. Guys, be careful. I do not want to fight with you. If I was your support here or coaching your support, I'd be like, look, this just looks cooked in terms of 3v3. So, I don't know. Make sure your Zac gets the crab and tell Caitlyn to relax. I'd even be like kind of moving towards crab here if I was Rel, making sure you get it. Because if you get that here, it's so, so good for you. And you can see like how this Graves hasn't even like cleared his camps properly. Like he's here at 3:30, he's so late. Maybe not so late, that could be a little bit harsh. Well, he is. Like he could easily be like, you know, where you are at 3:30. I'm pretty sure, starting blue. But he's not. So, yeah, you could have just, like, completely gapped this guy by just listening to, we're shit, and you're like, no worries, I'm just going to leave you then. And, yeah. And if I was your bot lane head, I'd be like, Zac, like, you have a free crab, just go. Just go, 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 go. And imagine if you were doing this crab and you see him there, and you're pathing like this, or pushing the crab towards mid. Oh my goodness, like, it's so free for you. So, so free. So that's the first thing. And all of this doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter how you play this mechanically. It doesn't matter what you do in terms of micro. This is just... these are the dominoes that have to fall just because of the decision to go from here, after blue, down. If you had the Karthus and Zoe, 100% you can move down. If you have the Kalista and Pyke, who are 2-0 already, of course you can move down through here. But if you don't, you either do this, or if you think you can push this up, then you do that. This is kind of a unique situation. Just remember that your bot did have prio. So you can use the prio, but you're not using the prio to fight. You're using the prio for a camp, not for a fight. So there's a difference there, right? If your bot lane is stronger, you can use it for both. Out of base here, I was really surprised because you know the Graves is here, right? And he's recalling. So you're a lot quicker than him. I don't want to say the word tempo, but I guess it is tempo, right? In terms of time here, you're just ahead of him. So he's going to recall now. So technically, you're at least 10 seconds, right? That line is probably 11, 12 seconds. So you can just go here first. You've also got Prior mid, and you've got a top laner in a really good matchup who's also winning top and just doing well. So I would look at this lane first. Can I actually do anything to this lane? So maybe, you know, the route could be like this, right? It's always to crab, and then on your way to crab, you figure out if you can do anything else. Like this or like this, right? This lane as well looks as if it's pushing towards Aatrox, so this is like an amazing picture to look at because obviously the Ornn is low. And he seems easy to kill just based on that HP. So you've got possibilities here. But yeah, just not going to crab I think is a mistake. If you are really scared of Graves for whatever reason, but you don't have to be because you're so far ahead of him, if you were scared, you would just run in and save your cooldowns, right? And just make sure you push the crab maybe away from the brush, so you would go like this and then push it up like that. So it's on your side of the map. And happy days, right? You just get a free crab, but I think you should definitely do crab here. Same thing with top lane, right? It is pushing towards the Aatrox, but as soon as you see Ornn TPing, you know he's full HP, so it completely changes things. And yeah, let's continue. Now, when you see Graves here, right? This guy's clearly just done the crab. So he's gone from 28 CS, because that was full clearing plus this crab. So he had 28 when he was recalling. Now he's got 32. So he's clearly done this crab, but he hasn't done these camps. And you should also know at this time that those camps have respawned just like your first two camps. And this one is respawning just like his. So if anything happens to this guy, who has used flash as well, by the way, and I'm pretty sure someone would have pinged it. Let's have a look if someone did. Please tell me someone pinged this. Ooh, dearie me. Did no one ping this? Am I blind or what? If they didn't ping this, Graves pinged the Zac flash. Okay, so Graves has pinged your flash even though you have it. I'm not sure what is going on. But according to my sources here, the left, this guy used flash. So if you wanted to know, bro, like, if the enemy jungler used anything, because he's clearly been in a fight, right? Like, he's fought your bot lane here. Just type, like, flash. Jungle flash. Something like this. Because it completely changes how you're going to play Zac. Alright, it's the most important, like, kind of micro detail in the game. Enemy champions flashes. And obviously, like Graves, Kindred, Nidalee, you have to know their dashes as well. So, as this fight plays out, if you had that information, I think it really just makes it easy for you to win this fight. Just based on that. But I think you make a bit of a mistake here. So this guy's slowed right now from Orianna. So you could consider, like, E-ing here. But you don't know about this guy's E. So what you really should be doing is just, like, running into him. Yeah? And just waiting for him to E. Because he has to E at some point. Otherwise, he's just going to take damage, right? So, yeah, you charging up E here is actually a massive mistake, and you should just hold it. And as soon as this guy turns around to auto-attack, by the way, he's just trolling, he needs to run out. The other option you have, if you had red buff, I think, like, doing it is fine. It's probably excessive here, because I think he's always dead, because he has no flash. But if you really wanted to kill this guy, you could always just, like, flash it into, like, an auto-attack W, you know? You could always do this, but because you don't have red buff, I don't really like it as much, but you could even then argue you have phase rush. So if you do this into, like, another auto attack, saving Q, right? Because you don't want to Q and then he dodges it. Same with your E. So if you can get phase rush off of this, like, I think it's okay. But yeah, you should just be holding your stuff here and just running at him. And this means that Orianna has to use flash. So again, it's not like the worst thing in the world. But if Orianna doesn't have flash here, she doesn't kill him. And if she does have flash, she's burned her flash when she didn't need to just because you could have held your stuff. Also, after this, just based on what this guy has done, right, we know he skipped these camps. They have an Ornn top. You do not have to worry about this guy running at you. And their Embessa is kind of under tower. So if I were you here, just take Gromp. Walls is a little riskier because it's more attached to Embessa. And also, Gromp just gives you more experience. So if there's a choice of these two camps, just based on how valuable they are, Gromp is always the one. And it's probably safer here too. So it should just be Gromp, and then you would recall and run out here. Yeah, and you'd probably ping around these areas, because the Graves here should know that these camps are probably gone, or at least one of them. So unless he thinks like you're really greeting for the second one, he should probably just run out bot side here. But you should definitely do his Gromp here. Just about tracking him exactly. As soon as this guy shows on that crab taking it, and everything updates, you should know exactly what his camp situation is. And I think you can just go to his Gromp here, E onto it, and you take that in, like, 15 seconds with your smite. And then you recall in this brush, and we go out of base from there, right? Recall like this. Let's continue this for a second. One thing I just wanted to say here that I think is, like, the most important thing going from whatever elo it is to, like, actual Chow, and even, like, the higher echelons of Chow, is when you see a champ, thinking about the map in terms of numbers, but then also knowing the moves that are kind of, the question is, how do you exploit the numbers advantage you have on the map? So as you're moving away here, right, let's just say, you didn't want to do his Gromp and walls, even though I think you could have done, so we're just moving away here, and all of a sudden, this is what we see. So we see Zoe here. So as soon as you see this person, this is not just, oh, a Zoe's here, cool, that's pretty weird. No, this is a support who is not where she should necessarily be. This means that this person is on their own, right? And it's also indicative, this Zoe being here, that their jungler probably wants to run here. If the Greys wanted to run to Dragon or your bot side, where's that person going to be? If she's happy to roam here, why wouldn't she be happy to roam to these positions? So it probably means her jungler is also running over here. So if I were you, as you're moving towards your wolves, I would be automatically thinking about just running straight to bot and trying to kill this Karthus. And this is a big theme, I think, in all of these games that you need to think about, like, why you're actually playing them. So, if you don't know about that Karthus, if you think he's basing or whatever, that's fine. But I would just give myself the option, like this, or even like this, to maybe do that. To maybe even do this as an option, by the way. Like, I'm serious. You could literally think of just running straight down to Krugs. You know this guy's full cleared, so his Krugs will probably respawn at the latest of 540. That's kind of perfect timing for when you will get there. And you also probably avoid the Zoe running through and catching you, right? Because you're here. And then you've got this afterwards. And it's like, why do our Wolves and Gromp matter there? They don't. Because you're reacting to the information given to you by these champions, which is what League of Legends is. If you know more, if you know everything, I should say, about the enemy champions and their mental, the actual person behind that champion, if you know what they're thinking, their mentality, that's how you win games. That's how you get the most fed. Because you know exactly what the future is going to be. Then you come back to the present you're in, and you say, I know that this could be what Karthus is doing. This is honestly, like, kind of rare. But in a lot of games, this guy's going to be hitting the tower, right? So if he's not doing this, he's just standing here hitting the tower like a normal AD carry would. And that's when your brain goes, oh, Zoe's away from the AD carry. Let me quickly do this. And it's a situation or kind of like principle, theme, whatever you want to call it, that you'll see in every single game in League. They see you here as well, right? So someone hits that thing. The Karthus as he runs out. So we do Wolves and then we do Gromp. And I think you reacting to this is fine because you're ahead of the Graves, right? So the Graves is clearing camps because what you've done here is 1, 2 into killing the Graves. Then you've gone Wolves, Gromp. In that time, he hasn't cleared any of his camps. So this guy's probably locking himself into just clearing. So now you know that this is just a 3v2, right? And as soon as this fight happens, again, the most important thing is to know if your E is going to hit that person or not. So when you're just running down here, you can see Karthus flash. So now it means that your E on this guy is basically guaranteed. Or should be anyway. I know you miss it here. I don't want to talk too much about like Eing on Zach. But now you know that this guy has no flash. If he had flash, Eing in, I would even kind of say, I don't... Maybe you could even, Eing in you'd still have to do, right? But yeah, you get my point. I don't want to talk too much about that. So as soon as you see Karthus flash, you know you can get onto him. Unfortunately, do they have heal here or is this Rels? What you should try to do, when this Karthus Qs, that's when you should flick your mouse at his feet. So not on top of him like this, at his feet. So as soon as you see him Q, so here, there's another one. You kind of do it a little bit late. And I would also wait until like the, what do you call it? Like the Rel has, not maybe the Rel, but these two champions, because you're trying to kill these two. Try to wait until they've really committed before you actually like send it. I think you could have like maybe held your E for a little bit longer over the wall. And obviously here, hold your Q. I know it seems like really basic for me to say that, but it's so important. And I think it might happen in the other games as well. So the E-ing, just flicking your mouse at the person's feet. So as soon as the Karthus, like, obviously your mouse will be around here, right? So you've pressed E, and now you've got the circle, and you're just going like this, bang. As soon as you see him press Q, or the rhythm of his Q, so he's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when you flick your mouse and E. Hopefully as well you could tell that's when you E by the change in my tone. That was good for me, putting emphasis on the Karthus Q. So yeah, and if you did that as well, like landed your Q there, you'd kill that guy a lot easier, and you wouldn't have to flash, I don't think. Or if you have to flash, you flash and live. And I think because of those two things, it doesn't matter how your Caitlyn plays this or your Rel, those spells are literally your champion. So all we were doing there was just auto-attacking and pressing W with Zac. And if I was your Caitlyn and Rel there, I'd be like, this Zac didn't actually really do much there. And it's because of what we just talked about. Okay. I want to go back here for a second, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. So again, same thing as you're running out of base, just trying to, not understand, but trying to kind of anticipate what your future is, right? So here we have prio top, and we press tab, and we've got a good top laner, right? Nice. We've got a mid laner as well, who's also winning. Now, Embessa is still useful, right? It's not like they have a Veigar mid or a Kassadin mid. This person is still going to be useful, even if she isn't, even if she is behind, right? A little bit. So you've got to anticipate here that if I'm moving out top side, do we win a fight or not? And because grubs are going to be spawning in like 90 seconds, that's what I would be thinking here. Wow, this Aatrox is insane. So whoever was pinging on the way to this crab, someone else is doing it here. So that's what I would be looking at. Same thing. It's the same as the other crab. I'm surprised you're not looking at this. Because you have Orianna ult. You also have Rel moving here. I know the Zoe can be here, and Zoe's like half useful. And it's also like if you look at the Ambessa here, what is this indicative of? The grades being top. So for sure, Zoe could be here. And the grades could be here. But I actually think you do well. And by the time like the Aatrox runs down, you guys should be chilling, right? So I think Aatrox is the key difference maker here. Also, I'm looking at my sources. So I think if I were playing during the game, I would like know ultimates for sure. But, and this is why like, you know, on a replay, my chat is going to be like here and a lot bigger. So I have to like pause it and go through it. So it looks like hindsighty, but during the game, you should know this stuff, especially flashes and ults. So if this guy has pinged the Ornn ultimate, or did, that should be like, holy shit, like their top lane, it doesn't have R here. And even just forcing a fight should just be like really, really good. And it will be rare when it doesn't actually work, right? Because someone literally has to troll for you to lose. So that's what I'd be thinking here. Just going to crab first. Again, I don't have the exact timers because it's a replay and they haven't changed that shit yet. But I would just be running to crab when you can actually get there on time and going from there. As you finish Krugs here, I think it's fine. Like, you could consider going top and diving the Ornn. But again, you don't know exactly where Graves is. So if I were you, like, I'd be pinging this Rel to just be around this area, I guess, and be ready. Yeah, I think maybe there was something to say about this mid-fight. I can't remember exactly. Like, I think you already E'd onto red buff. So I think I was, like, cool with you doing this. And we've got Grubs in 30 seconds, right? And then your mid laner, I think, dies here, maybe. Yeah, Gray's also, right? Yeah, I think everything you did here, Urknate, was actually really good. I remember this shit. And I know the Rel is pinging you here. So maybe I should say something about going the crab before. Like, yeah, before your red buff, I think you just don't do red. Or even here. It's just about timing, right? So, like, whatever... What I'm trying to get at here is, like, you've got to have, like, an orientation. You have to have, like, a future. Yeah? Just clearing your camps is not a future. Future is on this side of the map. Anything in river, grubs, dragon, crabs, anything on this side of the map, right? That is a future. You can clear your camps anytime you want. So how do we get to this potentially contested resource? Because this is what League is, right? Like, there is stuff in the middle of the map that is going to be contested. And that's how you, like, jungle diff. If you can get both crabs, you're already like 8 CS ahead, and you can snowball off of that, right? In terms of experience. So you need to think about, what am I orientating myself around here? What is my future? Where are we trying to end up? And if you're trying to end up at this position right here in, let's say, 35 seconds, how much time do you have? You have time for one camp. And that one camp should be the camp that gives you the most. Red buff gives you less experience than Krugs, but it still gives you a lot. And it also gives you red buff, right? So this should just be a red buff into that crab. That's all it should be here. And I'm just guessing the timer again. I don't know 100%, but it should just be red buff. And then you can go for the crab. You could even argue that just going like red buff raptors into that is feasible as well, right? In terms of the timing. But yeah, like, I'm pretty sure you would hit 6 after your red buff. It'd be very close, actually. And if you weren't, you could just do, like, a couple of raptors and then go. But the point is like, you have prio top, and you have a mid laner as well who's doing well here. You have the Rel around. I think this is just ideal for you to run in there and actually get the crab. It's similar to the crab at level 4. What you do afterwards is the perfect reaction. You know that you're losing this, right? For sure. Like, you know the future of Graves here is getting a contested resource in the middle of the map. And because of that... I think that if your wolves were up and your Gromp was up, you would skip them here just based on like how you moved your character. So you pinging on the way to bot is 100% the right play. And this was the probably like the best thing that I saw in the games is you doing this. how you play like the actual like mechanics of this is great. And just because you tank a couple of Karthus Qs, I'm not going to talk about dodging Karthus Qs. This is just how it is sometimes. And then you kind of like avoid the vision here and Zoe may be running over. So I think everything you did there was perfect. And doing Gromp as well is really good. The next thing I just want to comment on here is, once again, knowing the enemy champions and their position and what that means for the game. You know here you're losing grubs, right? Everyone does. We all know we're losing grubs, right? That's gone. You just killed the Karthus, which is your counterplay. But if you could extend that counterplay, we would do something like this, right? Now here, I think it's way too risky because we don't know enough about Zoe. So doing your Gromp is good, but then something happens. Something happens on the map, which is this person. And as this person is fighting your Orianna, who's full HP, you've got two options, right? I think anyway. You can either directly run here to impact this play, but I think it's bad. Why is that bad? Because the Graves can also do that, and we'll see this in one of the other games. The Graves can do this just like you can do that. He might have already finished 2 grubs. He might be running over here or defending his bot camps, yeah? Because you only need 2 grubs for Atakan stack. So this Graves might be like, oh, I've only got time for 2 grubs. Let me run over here to where my Zoe is. I'm anticipating Zac to jump in. Let me run down here. I'm anticipating the Zac to E over to my red buff from Dragon Pit. So this guy could already be on the move to that lane. That's why I don't like you going there. So again, it's about keeping this guy in your head the whole time. The other option you have is to say, Zoe is here. And even though she looks as if she's connected to where you might run, she isn't at the moment. So I think here, after you finish Gromp, you have this once again. That Karthus, what is he going to do? Because he's going to be there before Caitlyn, right? Because you killed him. And I think he's out of base first. This guy is going to hit this wave, and he's going to go lunatic mode again. What's he been doing this game? Running out of the Gromp brush at level 4. Like, that is fried. And he's probably going to continue to do that because history repeats itself. Players' tendencies. It's just muscle memory for this guy, right? To play like that. So he's probably going to do the same thing. So as soon as you see this, we can actually get even more counterplay of the Graves being up here and doing grubs by quickly doing this again. You don't go through there because it's warded. And why do we go through here? You did it before and he didn't move. You literally ran through here and were Eing on top of that brush. He didn't even see you. So therefore, they probably don't have vision. So do it again. If it worked once, it will work again, right? In terms of the vision aspect. So here, you stop doing blue, and you run through like this, and you wait for Karthus to show on that wave. I think it's probably one of like the most, I'm not going to say like eye-opening, because that's for someone else to say. But for me anyway, like when I really learned how to play against like good junglers and beat them, was this shit. Just being able to quickly react to the numbers and what that means, and how you can exploit it. So yeah, instead of doing blue, you could be here. And maybe you have to wait for Caitlyn, so you could be Eing again when he's going to Q. 3, 4, 5, 6. Flick your mouse and go. That brush, you probably have enough range, right? If not, you could always go like that and stay in that pocket of fog. How do I know that's fog? Because I played Shaco for 10 years. You have to know fog. You going for the Ambassador, I don't really mind too much, but yeah, it's whatever. Don't want to talk about this. Also, instead of running to walls, I think you should definitely consider just running straight to bot here. Again, because they're thinking about diving your Caitlyn. How are they thinking about it? Because they're actually doing it. And you have Rel moving over as well. We also know the Graves was topside not long ago doing grubs. So even if he has recalled and he's running out here, he's probably just stuck on his camps. Because that's what like this guy has done this game. So again, we can almost trust like Graves' history here to repeat itself. And we can anticipate that to help our own like kind of decisions for the future. So if I were you here, I'd actually just click towards bot just to make sure they're not going to troll. And if they don't troll, then you come back to your wolves. But doing your wolves here, it's like doing blue in a way. It slows you down from the biggest gain you're going to have. So we could have been here during this, you know? And instead, I think this Karthus ends up dying. Oh, never mind. You end up killing him. I think it's later in the game, maybe. So I'm still happy you killed him. Like, let's go. But yeah, I think you should just run there instead of doing walls, just based on how they're playing. Recalling here, let me just go back for a second, because we know the Graves is top, right? So after you do this, we know the Graves is top, and also this guy, like, hasn't bought. So because he's basing here, I think it's very difficult for you to do drag, right? So that could be the other thing. If you know this guy had a Ghost Blade, I think it actually changes it, because I don't think he's going to stay up here. I think he will run down like that and think about doing this and this. And I don't think there's much you can do to stop that. But because he is on gold here, obviously, and he's going to recall in the brush, I now think that your recall is totally justified, right? Because we cannot do dragon. But in another game, he's got no reason to base because he's not covering anything. His bot lane is dead here. And there's no way you invade his bot camps, I don't think, from the position and HP you're in. So, yeah, I just wanted to, like, point that out. Let's keep going. I think this is another really important point. It's just about knowing the mentality of the enemy laners. The Ornn is TPing, right? Now, you don't know that, and you don't need to know that, I don't think. Even if you did, who cares? He shows up here, right? And you see this guy on the wave. What is this guy going to do after he shows full HP here? So here you should obviously be like looking at the lanes. Like I said before, we're running out of base and we're looking at this guy. We're looking at mid lane here as well. We see that the Ambessa, apparently according to my sources as well, the Ambessa doesn't have flash. So now like this becomes, oh, that spoiled the momentum. But yeah, you've got Orianna ult. And this person has no flash. So I don't know if anyone pinged this. I don't even know if this is true because replays can be like buggy and weird. But apparently she used it like however many seconds ago. So if that's true, and she used her flash, and it was in the chat, and we know this, we could even consider just like running straight mid here out of base. And I think you just kill this person for free, right? It doesn't even matter like where their support is here because they might run bot or their jungler because you're basically one-shotting them before they react. Like your Orianna, even though the scoreboard is eventually going to cuck me here. Your Orianna is strong enough. You're strong enough as well out of base. Like, I think you just one-shot this person. You just have to be careful, right, of course, of her dashes. But without flash, I think it's doable. And again, you would just be trying to time it, which we'll look at in another game, when she goes for a minion. I don't actually know that much about this champion. I know she dashes like 15 times with shields. It's a 2025er, but yeah. Again, just the idea in your head. And lots of the time, lots of games, this is going to be a Victor. This is going to be a Syndra, you know what I mean? This is going to be these champions, Ryze, all that stuff. If it is something like a Sylas or a Zed or an Akali or an Aurelia, again, you're just trying to time it when they go for that CS. And if they dash away, then it's up to you to like land Q, smite, all that stuff, right? If you're not going to go mid here, this Ornn showed up, full mana and stuff. What's he going to do after shoving the wave? Probably hit this thing. Right? That's what he's going to do. So you pressing E right now to go to Krugs, I think is a big mistake. Thankfully, I think you still have it by the time you finish this. But in another game, he's going to hit this and run off. Like, he's going to demolish here, which is what he should do. He should never hit this longer than that. Because you might be here. If they have vision down here, right? You're not showing. So where could Zach be? He has to be topside, right? Surely. So the Graves should be pinging you here. And this Ornn should just run off, put a ward down. Now what do you do? You miss the opportunity. How do I know about this? Because I do it on Shackle all the time. I literally have to know, like, the next 20 seconds of the enemy champs in order to get kills on my dogshit champion. I have to be that far ahead, right? But you should be anyway, regardless of the champion or jungler you're playing, yeah? And a champion like Zac is quite similar. You're almost ambushing this guy in a way, but not when you've eat Krugs. So you need to be able to see this picture back here when he shows. You need to be able to see, close your eyes, that picture right there. That means that you do not do Krugs. You run like this and you eat this guy. That's what you do. And I think this is totally worth it still. Thankfully, what should have happened ends up happening anyway. So like, you know, the HP and the damage you're dealing here. I think something in terms of micro here. If you think this guy has flash or might have flash, again, if you don't know, then just treat it as if they do have flash. I think here you should just save your E and everything and just use your smite slow. So when he does his ultimate here, if he really ults back into you, he's also moving back into you. So you shouldn't have to worry about stopping his ult here. It literally doesn't do anything because he's probably going to use his dash to get away, right? So as soon as you see this, just try to smite him and just run at him. Like, cancelling the actual ult here doesn't really do anything. So if you just, like, run forward and smite this guy, and then what you could also do is use your Q, right? So if he really does flash away, you just, like, Q like that, yeah? Or Q him if you know it's going to hit, into your Q2, and then you just E where he is, you know? So I actually think you probably killed this guy if you did that. It's still worth it, I think, by the way, to get his flash here. This is now, like, the next kind of... I don't want to say, like, lesson, as if, like, I'm some sort of professor at university. But, This is like the next kind of step up to the champion numbers thing. Is knowing their reaction to what you've just done, right? To you showing on the map. What's the Graves going to do here when you show? He's going to do Dragon. He's going to do your bot camps. He's going to dive your bot lane. You are losing your bot camps here. You are losing your bot lane no matter what. There is nothing you can do to stop your bot side from dying, right? Or falling, whatever it is. Your camps are going, the Gromp is going, the Drag's going, your bot lane might have to give up the tower. Therefore, you are in a rabbit hole here. You have decided that you are going down this rabbit hole of ganking the Ornn, which I agree with, by the way, and doing this, getting his flash, and it's actually like kind of bad for this guy because you just TP back, right? So if you end up killing him here or forcing him out of lane, it's pretty good, and then we can think about getting this tower in exchange, right? But you are down this rabbit hole of investing time in the top lane here, or top side. That means that because we cannot stop what Graves is going to do down here, we need to try to get as much as we can out of this, but more importantly, that and potentially that. Mid lane obviously is more connected to Graves, so again, it's quite difficult to impact that lane, but definitely top lane here. And on your screen, you just saw this guy flash. You know he's less than half HP. You have an Aatrox fresh out of base, even though his items aren't that amazing. He has his ultimate. Even though you don't have yours, I think you can kill this Ornn, and you can juggle the tower aggro, etc. And you have your passive as well, which I think is good, right? Because if you do die, Aatrox should finish him off, and you won't die because you're passive. But yeah, you get my point here, right? So after this, instead of just clicking back to your camps, what you should be doing, and hopefully you're like answering it already, is this. And you have to do it here. Otherwise, the game's going to break. In terms of hard winning bot lane for them, kind of barely winning top lane for you. This has to be hard winning, like this situation. It's not at the moment. You haven't killed him. You're losing all of this for nothing. So if you go back to your Krugs here, which is what I think you do, right? It's actually really, really slow. And I looked at this like back and I was like, that there just doesn't sit right with me anyway. Yes, this guy is still quite difficult to kill. You have to be careful of that. Of these two spells, right? But yeah, you can do it. I believe in you, Urknate. Let's go. I think there was a little bit more I went through in this game. Sorry if like this seems as if I'm repeating stuff or maybe taking too long, but yeah. You can see here how instead of actually making that play, we've ran like towards bot. Thankfully, these guys are trolling, by the way. I don't know why the Graves is here. He should have done drag already. Like your bot lane died as well. So like that play I kind of alluded to has happened. I just don't know why he's running mid for no reason. But yeah, let's keep watching for a little bit. So this here, like, just isn't real in my brain anyway, with the decisions you would have made earlier. But let's keep watching, because there's some stuff after this as well. I know that for a fact. See what I mean? Like, you've put your flash on cooldown, now you don't have ultimate. Like, it just feels bad, right? Like, you use that and that for nothing, basically. There's no gold or experience there. So, yeah. Alright. This was the next point, I remember, because I think the enemy jungler shows. There he is. So Graves shows here, yeah? Now, I actually think here, Urknate, you make a really good decision, I think. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, okay. The first decision is diving this guy, right? The second decision is going for his camp. So this is, sometimes you do it, but it doesn't happen often enough. And that's not like, oh, I need to do it more. No, it's about you being aware, numbers. That's what you've got to be aware of. Graves is showing bot. Zoe's showing around here at level 3. Zoe's showing mid at level 4. Let me skip my blue and kill the Karthus on his own. It's about the numbers thing. Okay? If you just say to yourself, I need to think about that more, you're not going to learn. You need to know what you have to think about, okay? When you run in here and you see this guy, you have two options here, right? You have passive. You're out of base strong AF. Your top lane is in a good position, right? With Prime and stuff. You know all this. So my question here, I don't really care how this ends up. But my question here is like, if you're going to do this and E in and then press R, why not try kill him? If you weren't confident, you would just Q and then probably E out, right? That's it. Like, don't even contest this guy. So that's what I'd say about that. It looks like you're in two minds. Oh shit, maybe I can't kill him. And then you just run off, right? But if I were you there, I'd probably just like full go for it. If you're going to use spells like that, that is. I'm just trying to justify how you've used your spells there, that's all. If you know this is going to get interesting, then maybe not doing it was the right call. But anyway. And yeah, maybe I should say that, wait for the Ornn thing, but anyway. I think there was just a little bit more that I wanted to look at in this game. So this is after you died, and then we run out top side. Of course, we're going to run out top right, because all of our camps are up, and there's nothing else to do. And the Graze looks killable, let me put it that way. The other option, by the way, so if you don't think, right, let's just say your Aatrox is not doing this, and you know you're losing these camps, it would be this, yeah? Same kind of theme. But you running out here, I think is totally fine, because the Graze looks as if he's inting, because he's fighting your top laner, and maybe you can get him. I actually don't think there's anything you could have done there mechanically to kill this person. And, yeah. It's kind of whatever. Again, I'm not expecting you to land every E on Zac, and I think it's impossible to land every single E, but yeah. Alright, this is the last thing from this particular game. I'm going to whiz through the other ones in a second. You know here, right, that your Aatrox, who is over here, has no TP, and he's 1 HP, with no ultimate as well. So as you're running off here, we know that Rift Herald is in 10 seconds, okay? So Rift Herald is in 10 seconds. Can we fight this, yes or no? I think the answer is no, because you have this guy. If the Aatrox recalls right now, and is running out of base by the time you finish your Raptors, you can then consider maybe doing Rift Herald, right? You know this guy used ultimate. You know you have yours. Not having flash is a bit of a shame, but it's whatever. You know the Karthus doesn't have his. There are details here that encourage you to do Rift Herald. But because the Aatrox is literally 1 HP and is not recalling, again, you could maybe communicate to him here. Recall, I want to play for Rift Herald. But because you don't, now we're playing on a map where Rift Herald is impossible. So what I think you should do here is you give up Rift, and it's just the same thing as before. We're giving up Rift. So therefore, it's that. Even though it is suboptimal, to be honest, because that's the easiest tower to get, and would much rather play around here, because I think you can with the ultimate situation in this game. Bit of a shame, right? But that's what you have to do here, unfortunately. Your Rel's recalling 1 HP. She hasn't based either. The Aatrox hasn't recalled. Your champs are on a base here, and the enemy team is already running out of base. So in terms of time here, your team's going to get there at like 15, 20, 15, 30. Graves has already done it. If he is there, that is. So I think if I were you here, I would not even go to Krugs. I would just give that up. The Ornn is not going to hit the tower, right, or get the tower because Aatrox will be here. So if I were you, I'd give this up and run bot. And if you were the enemy jungler here, when you see Aatrox like this, so let's just say you were playing against Aatrox, and all of a sudden you see this guy here, it's either this, running straight top, or just starting Rift Herald, yeah? Depending on, like, if there's a wave crashing or not. If there's a wave crashing, you run top and make sure Aatrox dies, or he just doesn't get it. He has to run back and recall and miss the wave, or you just do Rift Herald, right, and you force it. So I think this here, you're probably now realizing, holy shit, and the Aatrox, or someone's pinging for assistance. You see that? You just cannot be here. You should be over here. Graves being here is weird, by the way, but it's also good for you, because I think he's on his own. So you'd just be killing this guy for free, right? Because you know Rift Herald is impossible for you to actually start and do, therefore. So we should be looking to do anything down here. So that was that game. Let me go back through this one. This is a game you won. And I went through the first 10-15 minutes here, so bear with me. Is my mic working? Yeah, let's go. Alright, the quad AP game. We talked about Phase Rush, right? And same thing here. You're just against a Graves, Kane. Just think about them as like the same champion. Rivens, Fioras, who can do shit like this. Just ward it. Recall, sweeper, run out mid. If he shows, you might have to consider giving it up. The one thing here I just wanted to say, your level 1 is pretty good. This is trash, right? Like, this is bad compared to Jace. This is obviously bad as well. This one, though, pretty good. This one, really good. This one, good as well. Even though Leona's not Nautilus or Pike, she's still good. A Flash Q Ignite, auto attacks, it's good burst damage, and it allows you guys to land your stuff. So I actually think in terms of level 1 here, you could stack in this brush. So if I were you, when you're in base, and when you load into the game, we spam ping assistance here, and we try to protect. Now, of course, if Jonathan Murphy on Karthus cues this, then you probably have to abort the mission, right? But in a lot of games, like, their team is just going to run in like idiots. Happens in my games all the time. So when you have a really strong level 1, use them. Use your teammates to try and get like a lead this early into a game. I know what happens here. You play for like the smite, which is whatever. And by the way, Urknate, like, let's just say that you didn't want to fight up here. For whatever reason, your bot lane wasn't here and the Graves had ran in over like your ward, and you know you can't contest anything now. You just have to start here preemptively. So you just like stand here and try to get in there, knowing that your Raptors and Red are probably gone and stuff. I'm just going to forward this to the point where you hit level 3. It's the same thing in this game, right? You should be thinking about your orientation and what your future is, basically. That. Am I playing for that? How legit, how feasible is that? Can I play for this? Do we win? That's the question you should be asking here. And in this game, I think you ended up running top. Yeah, you did, right? Because look at your bot. It's hard losing, yeah? So this was excellent. This was really, really good. I'm just wondering, like, in the other game, why you actually ran down there. It's not about Prior, right? Prior is one thing that makes it easier to get the camp for sure, but the actual fight is what matters most. This surprised me. You're giving up the bot crab, right? And this jungler, the Graves, will 100% think that you're over here. So if I'm the Graves here, I'm thinking Zach is already over here, so I can't really stop that. Now, of course, if you think about doing this, absolutely, I think I can stop. But at the moment, I'm probably going to try to do something around your bot lane that has no summoner spells. So if you think about your teammates as if you were the enemy jungler, so kind of like one, I guess, not lesson again, but theme I'm trying to get at here, is that these guys are your real teammates. For the Graves, these players are his real teammates. The Tristana is saying, hey Graves, I've got no flash. So if the Janna knocks me off with a Q, you have a guaranteed Q against the wall. That's fun. GGFF. The Leona is saying, I don't have flash either, I've got Hex Flash. I don't have barrier. That's what the Tristana Leona are telling this guy. So if the Graves is going to do something over here, holy, we should be thinking about that, maybe even this, right? Not in this game, I'm just saying, you know. The resources he is not there to defend, or near to defend, I should say, those are the ones we hit. And we listen to Ambessa. This person is kind of difficult for you to kill just because she has flash again. But there is probably a way on Zach where you could, you know, guarantee your Q off this, into a Q2, into an E. Hopefully Aurora is, you know, playing properly and has her spells and she lands everything with your CC. Probably doesn't even matter, right, if Ambessa has flash. You just need to know that. So I'm leaving that on you, Urknate, to judge that for yourself because you're the Zach player. But that's what your brain should be thinking here. So you clicking towards red or clicking towards Krugs, it's at least this. And then you keep going. You could even think of just doing blue off the notion and anticipation that he should do something down there. Your bot lane is so weak with no spells. I don't even care if they have a Janna support. It's beside the point. There is enough here to pressure your bot lane. Even if Graves was just to like poke around here, right? Look at it. So hitting your camps here, I think is a big mistake. You should be able to see that back here. Right here, you should be able to see that that is the picture. That Graves is faker. Don't even know if what he did there was bad, but yeah. Your bot lane actually got a double kill. Never mind, it's good. Clear your camps. But yeah, hopefully you get my point. And what you should be a part of happens anyway. So thankfully, Huge Green Man, the Hulk, has killed the Ambessa on her own. If she didn't, if the Ambessa solo killed the Aurora here, it's reportable. Again, I'm not being toxic. I'm just trying to really reinforce this idea. Yes, that's all. And hopefully now, looking at this, you can kind of tell what we're getting at. One thing I was going to say here is that you could always not always consider. I'm saying that as if you should. It's just considering here that your top laner is doing well and just backing them up maybe. But I think you recalling here is fine. But it's just having that in your head, right? And these pings are great, yeah? So as long as you're pinging the enemy jungler, no worries. But again, it's just a thought. If you were to finish at Krugs, you could always run here and just recall. Just in case he decides to gank and do something stupid, you know? But No worries at all basing here. I'm just throwing that or putting that seed of thought in your head. You ping his Gromp here, which is great. So my question now is like, if you know he's going to do this, eating 2 wolves is fine. So you can eat a wolves and then do this, right? If we're going to play jungle camps. The other option, you know Karthus has no flash, right? Because of what happened earlier in the game. And someone pinged it. Karthus flash. So you know at 156, so this guy's going to have his flash at 656, right? So you know that when you look bot lane at a base here, and this is what I want you to do, Urknate. I don't think you're looking at lanes at all. I think you're clicking to wolf camp here, and that's it. If you look mid, Jace has flash, sorry, impossible. This guy is pushing into you. Look at that. You couldn't really ask for a better wave state. Now, yes, it is true. This guy might clear these minions before you even get here. But he will tell you that. Let's listen to Jonathan Murphy. Hey, Zach. I'm just going to chill, and I'm going to slow push this wave. I want to keep the wave out here as long as possible because I want Tristana to miss these minions, right? That's what the Karthus is saying. So if you get here in like the next 15 seconds, honestly, you can probably kill me as well. I don't have flash. That's what he's telling you here. But we're not listening to that information because you're not looking at that information, I think. So that's one thing I want you to do. Just like with the Ornn. He shows full HP, shoving a minion wave. What's he doing after shoving? And he's fresh out of base? Probably that. Same thing here, man. You have to be able to listen to the enemy laners and what they're doing. You doing your wolf camp here does not matter. And because you pinged over here as well, the other thing to consider, if you really did do this, what about their jungler? Is it really going to be a 3v2? Your pings, which are great, suggest so. So, go there. This, you could have been a part of it. And maybe you killed the Janna as well. Maybe. I think what you do here is fine. Not sure if you should have queued there a little bit earlier, but I actually think everything you did here was fine. And of course, you have to recall now. What's the Graves going to do on top of that? Probably do drag rise. So there you see him. And he runs back, and I think he starts hitting drag. You can run to drag here, but your mid laner is basing. So because your mid lane is basing, you would just leave this, right? And the play, again, is to look top and think about if you can do something here. You're losing this 100%, so can we do anything here? Maybe. Maybe. Again, you're the Zac player. I think you would know if you can make a play or not like that. So I'm going to leave that to you. But that's the question you ask. So yeah. Now, when you see this guy's not on drag anymore, Urknate, the decision should be, I'm either going to dive top before Graves can get here, or I'm probably just going to go back to Crab. You should know here, this guy, because he's not doing drag anymore, and he cleared like this, he's going to recall and do the same shit, right? And there's no way your champion can ever take Gromp or Wolves here before he gets there, that is. So you're either sitting in that brush hiding, or you're doing Crab and getting out. You decide one or the other right here. Not, I'm going to walk into his jungle and then run around a bit and then hit this and then, oh, eventually I'm going to make up my mind. It has to be there and then. And you were kind of running off towards the Ambassador, which I respect for sure. But yeah. Just needs to happen earlier. That's all. Doing this is fine. Doing this is all good. I think you end up ganking mid here. And again, this is fine because you're pinging his flash. So this is great. This is telling me that you're thinking about this guy's flash, right? So this is really cool. Or good, sorry. But I think you stuff up the micro here. So where you're Eing from is great. I just want you to E on a minion. Look when you E here. If you wanted to E, right, because I know you're charging the range, you need to do it on a minion here. Now, I'm not sure of the range. If you know, by the way, like your 3E, so 3 points in E, doesn't actually get to where Jace is, you should just change where you are and try to E from here. Yeah, because it's a little bit closer. But yeah, the point here is trying to E on a minion. So when he auto-attacks a minion here, that's when you would try to E. And I guess he is too far. But yeah, I just think it's like a point worth mentioning to try to E on minions when they last hit. It's kind of like the Karthus, you know, queuing. You're trying to hit them on that rhythm when they're standing still. I'm also a little surprised here. Like, you can run straight bot, but the other option, because you know you're probably losing grubs, right, is just to run into his bot side. And A similar theme to the Ornn. You chunk the Ornn half HP. Well, even better than that, right? He was like a third HP maybe. But then you just ran to Krugs. This guy here is fighting the Vladimir. Now, this happens soon after you leave, so it's hard to react to it. But he is low, this guy, and you've also got the option of just running mid again and trying to kill him, yeah? After this happens. But you're clicking bot, which I don't actually mind because they are low. But again, it's just that idea. Like, we can re-gank that lane or re-dive them. And yeah, instead of maybe doing this, we ended up ganking their bot lane, which is really difficult, right, without Leona. And yeah. Thankfully, they still do this. Jonathan Murphy, he just doesn't care, this guy. This was another interesting point, like your pings here are really good, and you ping on the way to drag. I think this is excellent, by the way. I think this is one of the plays of the game, because you are anticipating, so you actually do it sometimes, which is cool. But it has to be all the time, Urknay. So this is really good. You're anticipating maybe the Graves doing something up here, and you've just killed their Karthus, right? I think you starting drag here is really good. The only annoying thing here is your Vladimir doesn't have ult, so he's really not a champion. But I think doing the drag is honestly fine, and if the Graves moves over, it's whatever, you can just do your bot camps, right? If he wants to, like, protect Dragon that much, fine. Like, so be it. I didn't want to talk too much about this fight here. I think it's really unlucky, like, how this goes. But one thing you should just consider here is just sticking to the Dragon. And, yeah, I said I didn't want to talk about this, but you should just, like, listen to this, man. Like, whatever play you think your teammates are making here, just ignore it. Do the drag, bro. Like, the drag is 100%, right? It's a given. It's under your control. It's your jurisdiction. That shit is not. The Vlad has no ult. What is he going to do? Q someone? Single target damage? That sounds fun. FF, right? It doesn't do anything. If this guy had ult, the Graves is dead, yeah? The Jace is probably dead too. And he can play much more aggressive. But he doesn't have it here. So we are Eing to a lane that isn't really that strong at the moment, even if he had his ultimate. But he doesn't here as well, so it kind of compounds the decision here. The mistake, I should say. So just leaving this alone, because he doesn't have R. Why not just make the game easy and fight around people who are super fed? Let's get out of base here. Same thing here, right? Because I'm pretty sure you're losing Dragon and everything else bot side. It's just about trying to react to this and doing something over here. You running top here is obviously great. I think you Eing here, you should run here and E, just because you're closer to them and you're in fog, rather than here. It's a little bit further, right? I also don't think you need to use your ultimate here, because he doesn't have flash. So yeah, I think you could have just ran like this. But still, the play is good. This is similar, right? I want you to look at that Ambessa here, and I want you to think about what we've talked about in this session, or one theme in the session. Look at the Ambessa for me. Then I want you to think about the Graves reaction. Now, the Graves is picking up mid here, but then you see him run off bot, right? He also has a stronger bot lane, yeah? So there's a very good chance this game, or in the next 30 seconds, the Graves looks to do something like that, right? And it's hard for you to stop it. Even though the Jace is dead here, it can happen very quickly. Yeah, like as soon as Jace is alive, the Graves might think, right, let's go. He's going to do Raptors red into Dragon. What are you going to do about it, Zach? I know you're top side. So here, it's resonating with that theme of you're already in this rabbit hole. You got to go further. Make sure the Ambessa isn't trolling. Run around like this. Sit here and wait. Charge your E, because you're Zach. Guess you don't have to run all the way around like everyone else. But yes, it's anticipating the future here. Hitting this shows you as well, which I don't really like. I mean, I guess you did just show, but based on the play we want to make here, I don't really like it. Just leave the ward and either do that or just sit here. Yeah? Maybe it is actually like smart, giving her a full sense of security. But you eating off like this, Urknate, without knowing exactly what Ambessa is doing, that was not me hindsighting, by the way. You can see how it's a theme in these games, yeah? You see that Ambessa run off? Has she, though? As you know. She's going to greed. They always do it. The funny thing here, I think you leaving top is okay, because now you have the option, right? You can either run 20 seconds to kill that person and give up your bot side, or you can get your bot side and still have this as an option if they decide to troll. Like, you're here to protect the Graves diving them and maybe even the dragon, right? So I think it's fine you being over here. After Raptors, that is. The correct play is still to stay top and make sure that person dies, and then you get that tower, right? That is the correct play. But given the fact you were doing Raptors, I'm kind of okay with you moving down here like this. I think it's all you can really do. Don't want to talk about that fight, but yeah, just looks whatever, so... Not sure if I went through that much after this. Just give me 1 second to remember that. Very similar, by the way, to here, man. I don't actually know if I went through much more of this game, but just look at this for me. You're recalling here when their Janna shows mid. What's the Karthus going to do? Probably shove the wave. So I don't know if you know if anything is warded around here, but you could easily just sit here right on your champion in pockets of fog and just E in and kill that guy. Which is what I think you should do here, to be honest. I think you should just give him the chance to hang himself, and in you go. Just like the Ambassador. Just wait until they tell you, Urknate, that you can recall. Just be in a position to recall, and yeah, you can react to whatever they're doing, right? Man, this has been an hour long and I actually know the games. That's crazy. Just been really trying hard to, you know, explain everything thoroughly. Okay, so when you run out here, you look at top lane, right? And you've got that crab. You've got your Leona next to crab. Same thing. Run straight to crab. Well, your Krugs do not matter at all. I don't want to talk about that any more than I have because I've kind of explained it before in the other or the previous game. So yeah. And I'm very happy you still get the kill and win. Now, even if your team wasn't hit, like, look at what you do now. I think the reason you do this and it's so easy is because that tower's low. You should be thinking the same if it's that. You should be thinking the same if that person's bot, green sock, or if that person's mid. Doesn't matter about any of these teammates, man. You do this regardless because they're that person. This is the person telling you. That's your teammate. Hey, Zach, I'm half HP under the tower. Why does it matter if your Leona's there? Look at that picture. That's the real picture. This is just a bonus. That's just a bonus. The tower being 1 HP is just a nicety. They're not the reason you actually make that play. It's like having Prior, right? Prior is not the reason you go and, like, fight someone. It's like if you actually win the fight. Prior just makes it easier, maybe, to do something. Like the crab. It doesn't actually define what might happen. Hopefully that makes sense. I really don't like you doing this. Who's the most fed on your team? The Aurora, right? Vladimir is also doing really well. So if you're going to look to make like any play here, Urknate, when your fed teammates are nowhere near you, you're just making the game very difficult. I didn't actually look at the game past this point, by the way. But the fact you ended up winning this game and doing really well, I don't need to, okay? But right here, if you're looking to make any play around this mid lane, I don't care like if you're super fed or anything like that. There are 4 enemy champions who are missing. And your most fed teammates, being kind of like a support jungler, I guess, are nowhere near you. It's very easy for you just to like shadow the Vladimir or to play for the next objective, right, which is Rift Herald. So you could maybe just do like wolves and this, and then you run straight here. You could do wolves and run over here. I don't know. You've got so many options, right? But this one here is just really low percentage. The last game will take me 2 minutes because I didn't really go through that much. But yeah, this game right here. And there was just something you did early game, though. I was just like, oh, yeah. Doesn't really make... it should just be changed. That's all I should say. Yeah, you pathing bot, I think, is fine. And you got a ward on Zed's Raptor, so you know he's also pathing bot in this game. And as you're moving bot here, like, bot lane is already going nuts. I think it's still very hard for you to run there straight away, though, because they have summoner spells. So, yeah, you farming walls, I'm totally cool with that. Mid lane has prior too, that's great for you. So already you should be thinking here, You've got double prio that makes it easier to do this, but in terms of fighting as well, Orianna is probably more useful than this thing. This thing is just awful early game, so sorry, that should be a tick. You've got Sivir, who, honestly, like, Zaya's also really good in terms of fighting, but AD carries are going to be pretty similar when they have the same keystone, so tempo is good. Doesn't really matter who the AD carry is. And then supports as well, I'd still rather have Nort. Rakan's still pretty decent, though. But just because of the mid difference here, and Zed's also kind of weak, Zed's actually not too bad, but it's not like a Xin Zhao or Wukong, so he's weaker than... He's not the strongest, I should say. So already here, you should be thinking, like, can I actually contest that crab? And the answer is yes. So that's why, if you wanted to run through here, you have reason to. In another game, by the way, if you know they've warded around here, or they might have done, please don't just, like, run through here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they haven't, right? Because your bot lane's had them pushed in the entire time. So yeah. As soon as you see your AD carry back in there, just make sure they stay in case Zed is here. And this is where, again, the game gets interesting. So, you know here, Erknate, that you're doing this bot crab, right? You haven't seen the Zed, who's obviously recalled for 2 longswords. He's done that tech. So the Zed is recalled for 2 longswords here, and you're doing this crab. If you're hitting this crab at 332, at 330 even, if you're ready at 328, doesn't even matter, right? You know that you're going to hit this crab first. You have to assume the Zed is on the other side of the map. Okay? Which I know you kind of do here. Then the next step is to think, well, if Zed is over here, what's that in terms of numbers? You're in a 1v2 top, but you've got a 3v2 bot. And I kind of just gave away the answer to my next question. What should you really be thinking about doing here? Is diving their bot lane, or ganking their bot lane. Diving is just a form of ganking, right? It's just under a tower. That's it. So basically, you're kind of 3v3ing, I guess, when it's over here. But yeah, and then you ask yourself, how legit is that? Does it work? And you have a great support to help you out. And you also have the tower as well, right? To guarantee your Q2 into an E, into whatever else, into Sivir Q. And it should be happy days, right? Also, this person doesn't have barrier. It makes it super easy to kill her. So after you do this crab, I would never go mid. Or even look mid, unless she actually gets ganked. If the Zed shows mid, right? And by the way, look where the Orianna is. If you ping here, the Orianna's going to be down here. And you can, you know, you can chill mentally. You can have peace of mind. That allows you to run down here without any worry at all, knowing that Orianna is going to be safe. So, run down here like this. And you try to make a play. You know the Zed is on the top crab, so exploit that numbers advantage. All of this was fine, by the way. Even doing the dragon was good. And I was very surprised to see this. So you do the drag, right? And you know your mid laner has helped you do the drag. And you should be looking at that picture here. So if you look to fight, it's just bad, yeah? Because your mid laner is not moving. And I also don't think your bot lane is winning conclusively here to just be able to say, oh, 100% we win. Your level 6 is huge, I understand. And you have flash. Absolutely. That matters, and that's a big difference. But they have 4 extra cooldowns. So, you should be pinging off here. You shouldn't even be looking to do anything, yeah? Nothing at all. Sitting here as well, just waiting for the Malzahar. Like, I would just be looking at crab here, by the way. I'm not even sure about fighting. And even if the Nautilus was to land a Q here, it's bad, because the Rakan is going to flash away and bait you all. So this def here, doesn't matter what you do now. It does not matter at all what you do. The dominoes have already fallen here. And you're dead. Just because we were doing dragon, Orianna was here. So when Orianna goes back mid, their mid can move. Guys, let's not do anything stupid here. Everyone relax. Well done. Maybe you even give up the crab. Maybe you recall on the brush. Maybe you sit here, just in case they get ganked. And the enemy team overextends, for sure. You are a Zac with ultimate and flash here. You're very strong. But doing this is obviously too much. Alright, bro. Hope this helped. Don't be shit.